So, Carol Feldman, what a pleasure to see you. And I want to tell you right off the bat, I love that cap.
Thank you.
Yeah, and I'm
My
gonna
shirt on
figure out.
too, but just so you can
Pardon
see it.
me?
I have my shine and
Oh yeah.
aspire.
Oh
I'm all
yes.
day. I'm all in my element here.
Yes, yes. Now, of course, I'm representing Lawrence Neighbors Together today, and we have a T-shirt and a cap. And I was not as uh, say, sensitive to the value of wearing my stuff today, but we do have that. But I love your cap, and one day I'm gonna trick you out of one of those caps because
Absolutely.
I'm a collector of baseball caps,
Okay.
and you see why, right?
Hmm.
I need to cover that when I go outside, especially in the sunshine. But but Carol, tell us, the people who are watching, how long have you been around Lawrence? I think you've been here a while.
I've been here a really long time. I've lived here in this house since 1981, and for about 2 years, I was in another part of Lawrence. So probably since 1979.
Yes,
My
yes,
children were
yes.
babies.
Same here. And look, uh, professionally, what you do with Shine and Inspire is your part-time commitment as an individual, but professionally, tell us what you do.
So I'm a therapist. I'm a mental health and addiction specialist. I work as an EAP, which is an employee assistance person, which means I work on a corporate campus 3 days a week where anybody who works on that campus can come and see me. They can set up
Mhm.
individual appointments. I'm basically an on-site therapist, and I have a small private practice, very small right now. But where I work, I do sessions on anxiety, grief, depression, wellness, adopting a healthy lifestyle, getting people to take care of themselves, take time out, get away from their computers. People are extremely stressed at this time of year, even more so with what's going on in the world. So I try to help them find some time in their life to breathe.
So at work and after work, you are doing things to help people. Tell
Mhm.
us about Shine and Inspire. I mean, how did that come about, and what do you do?
Okay. So as I said, I'm a therapist, so I've always been a do-gooder kind of person and always was about helping other people. And through my career, which was very varied in where I did my work, I worked in jail, I worked hospice, I worked in rehabs, I did a lot of
Hmm.
different things. And
Hmm.
now I'm on a corporate campus, which is a very different environment. But I've always been a networker. So as many networking meetings as I could go to that fit into my schedule, I would be at. I was considered the super sub at BNI because I would sub for
Hmm.
anybody, any meeting at 7 o'clock in the morning. So I had started a networking group, a chapter of a networking group in Pennington. And I told the group that I wanted to start a nonprofit. And eventually I was able to get some people to stay after a meeting and sit and chat with me about what I wanted to do. And what I described to them, they said, oh, that's paying it forward, which was a term I had never heard. I was not
Hmm.
familiar with the book or the movie. Everybody kept saying, did you see the movie? No. Um, but that was what I wanted to do. It wasn't about giving back. It was about creating a ripple effect so that you would do for others and it would continue. So we came up with the name after a brainstorming session of Shine and Inspire. Our original concept was, let's say somebody was homeless and they finally have a place to live, but they can't afford a bed or a set of sheets or a lamp or a mug. So they can
Hmm.
come to us and say, will you help? And we say, okay, if we help you, what will that inspire you to do? So in their application, they would have to say, I will volunteer at my church that has a food pantry 3 hours a week. Bill volunteers at that church as well. And he will say, yep, they show up every week. They do what we asked. Great, we'll buy you a bed. Along the way, we found out a number of years ago, I found out at a meeting that there were kids who didn't go to school because they couldn't afford deodorant. And I said,
Hmm.
this is Mercer County. There's a lot of money in Mercer County. No child should ever miss school for something like that. Because what it does, so the child doesn't have take care of their hygiene. They smell, kids tease them, they don't want to go to school, they're late for school. It creates a very negative ripple effect. And it affects grades, it affects self-esteem, it affects so many things. So I presented it to one township who liked the idea, but they kind of sat on it. So I went to another township. I knew the phys ed teacher in Ewing. She'd been the teacher there for 30 years. And I said, what do you think about this idea? And she said, I buy stuff all the time. She said, I'm always buying deodorant. I'm always buying this. And when
a teacher in the school is doing this for
they
kids.
all do this. All these teachers are spending their own money to get art supplies, to get deodorant, to get shampoo. It's really.
But please, Carol, why do you think we're in this situation?
Well, I think there's a lot more people who can't afford things than we realize. I think the pandemic intensified it very, very much. We heard a story not long ago from a teacher who said a little girl came to her and asked for a piece of gum. And she said, why do you need gum? And she said, I can't brush my teeth. So the teacher said, why not? And she said, because we can't afford toothpaste. This should not be.
Why do you think now, come on, why is it that in a society with so much collective wealth, we have children? And what you're sharing is a local story, but it can be applied in many places in the United States. Why is a society, is that a fair question to ask you? Why is it that the society allows this? Because it has social implications. I mean, kids without the basic essentials as they grow older are likely to become less than fully participatory in the society. Is that correct?
Absolutely. It perpetuates low self-esteem. When kids don't feel good about themselves, it's hard to express. And I think the reason we don't know about it is because they're embarrassed. Who wants to go up to the teacher? The kids who are hungry. The same teacher told a story about a little boy who was hungry one day, and she gave him a lunchbox or a lunch bag. And he was so excited. It was like she gave him gold. And it was so exciting. And she put food in it. Some of these kids don't have food. So I said, well, let me put it on Facebook. And we got all these lunch boxes donated. And she mentioned it to somebody else. So now she's got lunch boxes for all her kids. And it's a real low income school in Trenton. And we actually just with the Mera group donated a dryer and a refrigerator for them. So now she can keep food cold. And sometimes kids have accidents and they need to be able to wash their clothes before they go home. So it was just a wonderful event that we just had a few weeks ago.
But as I heard you describe your mission, you don't just give things to people, you give them to them with an expectation that they will then do something for others. Am I right?
Yes. So what happened when we call them the Shine and Inspire closets. So I put quotes around it because it might be 2 shelves in the nurse's office. So every school is supposed to have some kind of a pay it forward. So one school did a collection for the animal shelter, but cat food, dog food, blankets. Another school has a little library in front of the school and they keep refilling it. Another school has made cards for seniors or for children in the hospital. Another one just sent me a picture. It's the best. It's a little Christmas tree, very small one, and it's got gloves on it. And it's for people who need gloves. It's the gloving tree. It was this cutest thing. So if anybody needed a pair of gloves, they could take them from the tree.
But you're speaking about schools. So schools have a role to play here.
Yes. So primarily we are in schools. We either work with the Board of Education. We have over 25 locations right now throughout Mercer County.
How many in Lawrence?
I don't have one in Lawrence. No one's ever applied. We don't go seeking the schools. I don't go looking for them because we have. Right. But I once made a connection with one of the schools, but all they have to do, it's a very simple application and fill it out and just let us know how you would pay it forward. And then we'll do the initial fill. And then my dream is that every school has a community partner.
So, in other words, if Lawrence were to ask, my Lord, you'd be able to respond to that, wouldn't you?
Absolutely.
Okay,
We just had 3 more applications last week.
okay. What? Tell me this. What? Now, you told me a little of your story and your commitment. What motivates, in your view, the people who have joined with you and who work so diligently to respond to the needs that you describe?
You just love our mission. They love what we do. We're having an event in a few weeks where we will bring 100 children to a ballroom, and we've gotten all their information ahead of time. So when they
Hmm.
come to the ballroom, there'll be crafts and games and entertainment, and they have lunch, and it's the best thing we do.
Hmm.
Since we have all their information, if I turn my camera around, you would see what my living room looks like. I have all these big bags of gifts. So we have
Ah,
gotten each one of those children, they're going to get a coat and hat and boots and gloves and an outfit and a toy and pajamas. It's just incredible. But they
now
get up.
you do this year round, am I correct?
Yes.
And
Yeah.
you believe that the season for giving is January through December.
Yeah. And that
And
concerns
you,
me that many people only think about people in need in November and December.
yes.
A few years
And
ago,
and 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 you know that is we're sort of culturally boxed into that, unfortunately. And what I want to be sure to do here, since this is the so-called season of giving, is to let people know how they can be in touch with
absolutely.
the organization and maybe be supportive. Should
Well,
should we say that now?
absolutely. So we have a Facebook page, we have a website. Shineandinspire.org is our website. Facebook page is Shine and Inspire. I have a Venmo link. You can Zelle or you can mail a
Mhm.
check or take any one of those. We're gladly accept donations all year round. Uh, I can give you my email address, which is carol@shineandinspire.org. The word "and" is spelled out. And I'm happy to give you my cell if you want to reach out or send me an email.
Well, let's make these folk write you a note.
Okay.
Let's not let them bother you when you're trying to relax.
Yeah, that's okay.
Yeah, so
Uh,
we'll stay away from that cell number. But I have to say, you must get testimonies from the volunteers about how this impacts them. You know that I'm a former pastor, and I can tell you, we when you talk about being a therapist in prison and so forth, this is the story of my own life. In fact, the theological school that I headed conducted a master's degree program inside Sing Sing prison. But when we at the church, we actually mentored young boys coming from Jamesburg and from down here in Bordentown, you know, these youth facilities. They were imprisoned for various criminal infractions. And we had adults in the church who volunteered to be at their disposal in various ways. And the sense of empowerment and meaning that the volunteers gained from that, even though they thought in their own minds they were helping someone else, they were actually helping themselves. Is that something, especially given your profession? Do you sense that fulfillment coming?
Absolutely. So my personal tagline, as well as the tagline for the organization, is make a difference in someone's life and it will make a difference in yours.
Ah, I love it.
So I,
Proceed. Yes.
I believe that we're here to do service, that we are about that. There's an expression in 12-step programs that says you can't keep it unless you give it away.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
I think that's the philosophy that we need to live by. I deal with a lot of people who are very sad and very depressed and very anxious. And I tell them all, go volunteer an hour or 2 a week somewhere. Just go
Yes.
find a charity that needs you. In fact, the company that I work on the campus of, they give their employees 2 hours a week to go and volunteer. And once they
Yes.
accumulate 50 hours, they make a $500 donation to the charity. We
Oh
did.
boy.
It's wonderful. So there's something that you feel, the people who volunteer for the first time at our event are just, can I come back next time? They just have so much fun with the children, and it's just such a cool event. We have somebody doing haircuts because a lot of these
Oh
families
boy.
can afford haircuts.
Yes.
It's really very exciting, and the smiles just melts your heart.
I think people who have the things that make life comfortable for them very often have no clue, not to say they don't care, but they have no clue about how many people not so far away from them lack these basic essentials. And when we started mentoring the boys from prison, we had an excellent orientation person to teach our volunteers. And one of the things that she had an expression talking to these relatively middle class church people. She said, "You need to know that no one ever told them where the funk lies." And of course, people would look around and say, "My God, what is she talking about?" Well, she was saying, kids get in the shower in prison, but nobody tells them where the odor in their body comes from, so they don't necessarily know where to wash. They don't necessarily have the experience of brushing and flossing their teeth. And an interesting statistic we found in the first 17 young people who came into our program is none of them had ever eaten a meal cooked in the place where they slept. Isn't that something? Not one of them had ever worn a pair of leather shoes, and they all had asthma. I tell you, your profession, especially prior to your being in the corporate campus, it gave you exposure to people like this, and Shine and Inspire shows that to you in spades, huh?
Absolutely. Absolutely. We see kids that just have gone without new shoes for a year. Their feet are coming through the end of the sneakers. These parents can't afford a pair of $70 sneakers. And you don't want to get them cheap sneakers because you want them to last, but they grow
Yes.
so quickly that and their people are in a position now. Do I pay the rent? Do I buy milk, or do I buy my kid a new pair of shoes?
Mm-hmm.
Are really tight. And it got worse during the pandemic. Ewing started something during the pandemic where they were feeding families that were in need. They're still feeding 60 something families because
Mm-hmm.
they can't afford food. I know someone who has a job, decent income, makes too much for um any help, but it's not enough to take care of her kids.
That's right. That's
It's
right.
it's terrible. It's absolutely terrible. So she does ask for help. It kills her to have to ask for help because she goes to work every day. She makes, an okay wage, not great. I mean, today, $30,000-$40,000 doesn't get you very far.
No, 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 no. Well, Carol, look, you don't need this from me, but I'm going to tell you, I really admire what you're doing. And I think everybody within the sound of your voice ought to be rolling up their sleeves. But I want you to tell us as we prepare now to end, um, what would you have this audience know? Anything we've not touched upon that you think is vital for them to hear? Anything comes to mind?
Well, I think we're not aware of what's going on in our community. We're right now focused on Mercer County, and I don't think people realize that there are people that don't have food, that there are people
Yes.
that can't afford the basic necessities. We are about basic needs. We're not asking for extravagant things. Even some of the things sometimes the kids ask for, the parents ask for, are underwear and socks.
Mm-hmm.
They can't afford that. So I think just being more aware of what goes on in your community, teaching your children that not everybody will have a whole bunch of presents, at Hanukkah or Christmas, that if they get one, it's a lot. If they have a tree, tree, I mean, I'm not up on that, but I think trees are pretty expensive these days.
Hmm.
That I just believe that when you give of yourself, you feel better. And
Hmm.
so I say, we have collections all over Mercer County where people can drop a deodorant or a bottle of shampoo or a tube of toothpaste. We have one at the farmer's market at Lady in the Shallot. We have one at Buxton's Boxes on Reed Road. Any storefront that would like to do a collection for us, that would be wonderful. So the next time you go to the supermarket, just buy one extra item and
Yes.
collect it, and we will make sure it gets to a child in need.
And please visit the website, folks. I think you'd learn a lot there. And before we go, I have to ask you this. You kept referring, even in our prior conversation, about a networking group. Say a little bit about what that is. What
Well,
happens at a networking group?
okay, well, that particular one doesn't exist anymore, but at a networking group, of which there are many, people come together from all different businesses. Say there's one in Hamilton that's called Shop Hamilton. Once a month on a Wednesday morning at 8 o'clock, 30, 40 businesses come together and some
Hmm.
nonprofits, and they share their information. So if
Okay.
you need a plumber, you need a lawyer, you need chocolate, whatever it is, there is somebody in that group that might be able to help you out. And actually through going to that group was how I made the initial connection, either before or after, I can't remember now, with someone in Hamilton Township who helped me talk to some of the other schools.
Hmm.
So just, I'm big on networking. If I know somebody that might help you, I will send them your way. And
Right,
we
right.
are all one away from something. So I'm going to put it out here now. What I need, Church and Dwight is a local company, Arm and Hammer. They
Hmm.
sell toothpaste and they sell deodorant and they sell detergent, all things that we purchase.
Hmm.
I would love to be able to get on the product side. They do give us a financial donation, but that's like basically two very different areas. There are
Right.
other local companies that I know have things that we could use for our kids. So if
But
any,
not all the networking groups you can think of are related, let's say, to businesses or to
no, they are.
consumer. They
Well,
are.
they're all related to businesses of some kind. Uh,
Okay, okay.
any kind of business, like that meeting takes place at Sky Zone, which is, the trampoline park. That
Hmm.
they host the meeting. There's restaurants there.
How does one hear about that?
You got to start networking. Princeton Mercer Chamber of Commerce. If you want to
Okay.
meet people, I would say go to a Chamber of Commerce meeting. There's one
Aha.
in Burlington as well. There's BNI, which is for businesses. There is a cost. Like some of them are,
Mhm.
are free, some of them are not. But they're all over the place. If you want to know
Yes.
about networking groups, I can tell you about them. But that's how people meet people in the business world and spread their
Well,
knowledge.
let me say that you and I have never met in person, but if I meet you, I think I will be confirmed in my impression that Carol Feldman is a force of nature.
Hey, I'll take that.
That's yes, oh yes. I tell you, whatever struggles we're in, I want to be on your side. Okay.
Great.
Yeah, and
We'll
thank
form a
you
good
for
team.
yeah, and you are have given us some enormously important information,
Thank
and
you.
I hope that people, when they watch this video, will put on pause when you give out those facts, those things like your website and things about the networking group and the things about how to connect with schools and follow up on some of these things.
That would be wonderful. I look forward to
And
hearing from you. Facebook message me. Like I said, email me, anything works.
and in this season of giving, we should flood all of your coffers so
I hope
you'll have a lot to give to the people in need in our area.
that would be fabulous. Thank you so much for having me. This was
No,
great.
thank you for coming on. And I'm sure one day soon we're going to talk again.
Okay, sounds good.
All righty. Thank you so much.
Take care.
Bye bye.